dysfunctional vet here with a small pack of my dogs. They're not all here. Ah, here comes another one. And there goes one right there. And there's more, lots more. I'm getting ready to drop a tree and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Meanwhile, more dogs. These are the Muse. Sabaka Kalani, Sabaka Sabra, Sabaka Shadow. You met them earlier on leash training a dog. This pretty little guy is the guy that was our first victim in that film. I'll try to remember to stick a link in. Sabaka Shadow is a really, really good dog. And Sabaka Sabra, if I remember, I'm going to stick an x-ray of her foot. These dogs were abandoned out here. Hey, hold on. Dogs. Hey. These dogs were abandoned out here. And I found them. They were about 3 months old, according to the vet. They were really desperately sick. Took a lot of medication, but we got them fixed up. And now they are looking good. Kalani dog, believe it or not, who's coming back over here, is one of the better behaved of these dogs. When I got them, I tried to work with them, but they were difficult to work with because I was injured. This is back when I had gotten disabled for 18 months. So let's look at what we have to go with. I am standing right beside the cage of the Muse, and I've got to get this branch down. I tried filming this prior to starting this recording, but the film was inadequate, so I'm going to go back with a whiteboard and show you what I did. But I've got to get this branch down. I'm getting ready to put a throw ball on it, and I'm going to yank it to the viewer left, and I'll show you what I'm doing with this. Now previously, when I walked past the cage with the Muse in it, and the Muse live right here, I showed you that branch represented by this squiggly line, and it's basically right over the top of the trail. Not exactly, but real close. It's very, very close to this trail. There's another dead branch that's over here, which if it fell, there's a pine which would keep it from hitting the Muse. But at the same time, this branch could conceivably break in a wind, and it would go over here and it would come down on the Muse. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to cut this thing, and this is, I'm going to go to a little bit of labored detail here so you understand what I was doing. Again, if you've never done this before, don't try to do this on the scale that I'm doing. I made my living cutting trees, and so this is nothing new to me. As they say, it's neither my first barbecue nor is it my first rodeo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this branch and I'm going to swing it over here. I'm going to drop it. Now there's some trees in here, and I'm still going to be right on the edge of the trail, but I'm going to guarantee that I do not hit the Muse. Now there's a fence here. These were the German Shepherds you first saw, and then the Muse are separated from the German Shepherds. And I'm going to go from the ground up about 20 to 22 feet. I'm going to cut this branch and it's going to fall. So let's take a look at a side view real quick. In this side view, we have the cage with the Muse in it, which was the point that I pointed out a moment ago, which was the place I pointed out a moment ago that had the G in it for the gate. And here's my branch rising up. Now my branch is maybe 45 feet up into the air, and that's a pretty long reach if the thing comes down. And I'm going to be cutting it about 20 to 22 feet, something like that, in the air. And the reason for that is it will decrease the distance that this thing is able to fall. The longer a branch, the further it can fall. Now there's one other thing to take into account. If you'll watch videos, you'll see a lot of times when branches come down, the top will grab it will get a whole bunch of energy stored up, and it'll kick back and it'll hit the people that are cutting the branch, knocks the ladder down, and that kind of stuff. I'm not worried about that, because when this branch falls, I'm going to be swinging it away from me, and there's no place for it to kick back because of its height and my distance. It's 20 feet above me and probably 10 to 15 feet away from me, and when it starts to fall, I'll move away from it. I'm not going to hang out and stand there. All right, let's look at the side views. All right, now this is a side view if you were looking straight at that branch, and that branch is pretty good size. It's probably 4 or 5 inches in diameter. The exaggerated V-notch at the top is where I've cut through. This little square area that you see here is where I've cut through the side, and what I'm doing is I'm going to be drawing that branch to the viewer's right when you were looking at the top view. If we drop down just a little bit, this is a new tripod. I'm still getting used to it. I'm looking for the brand. I know it's on here somewhere. It's a Bosch. It's a really good one. I paid $44 at Lowe's. I'm real happy. In fact, I like it so much I'm going to buy a second one. Alright, you got your top view. You're looking straight down onto the branch from the sky. This dotted area that you see right here is where I've cut. That was the exaggerated V in the first cut. And now I have a V cut on the side, which is all the way through the branch, which is going to allow that branch to swing this way when I put tension on it. If we were to look at this, if we were to stand directly under that branch, which would be the stupidest thing you could ever do, the only thing you would see is you would see this V cut on the side, which is going to cause the thing to swing in a direction opposite. This V cut, think of this as it's pointing in the direction that the branch is going to swing. Now in that view above, it was on the left hand side, so the branch is going to swing right. Because we're underneath it, the branch is going to be swinging to the left, but that's still to the right side where it's away from my dogs. So let's call this quits, and let's go back to the actual filming of the tree. Alright, here is my branch. That bright spot that you see, I'm cutting just above it, and I'm going to put the throw ball, I hope, right up here. That's what I'm going for anyway. Well, let's come back right here. See if I can get this to come in. Do you see the cut that I made? Let me tripod this and see if it helps. Fantastic. This is on a Targus tripod. It's supposed to extend close to 48 inches thereabouts. It's what most of Tree Planet is filmed with, but not exclusively. I've had this one for a while. I bought another tripod when I was traveling in Germany because I didn't bring one with me, and I actually like that one as much as I like this one. It is also a Targus. It's much lighter. It was great for backpacking, so I'm glad I held off buying. But let's talk about this cut in that branch. I used a 24-foot extension saw, which I'll link the stuff in the description, actually in this film. And I went up there and I cut through almost all of it. I'm going to have to whiteboard some of this so that you understand what it was I was doing. But what I'm trying to do is keep from dropping it right close to where the Muse live. Now the Muse are perfectly safe. When the thing starts to break, they would run to the other side of the cage. And I have had a few branches come down in there, and they have always done very well to get away from it. So, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be pulling this now to the viewer's right, which is away from the cage with the Muse in it. And I just introduced you to them. I'm going to explain this and then I'm going to whiteboard it. I started cutting from the very top. That's, if I can get my finger in here. I started cutting from the top, which is up here, and as I cut through, I would move to the side that I'm on, and I would cut vertically down, and then I would move back and cut down, and then move back and cut this face of the tree that you see. Now the reason behind that, if you're not familiar with cutting branches, when you cut through a branch, the more tree that's on one side or the other, the branch is going to try to go that way. So if I have more wood on this side of the side that you're viewing, if I have more wood on this side, that branch could conceivably go in and visit with the Muse, and they would not be amused. So my next project is to put the throw ball up there, and I'll put a link on the description on how to use a throw ball. And I'll show you what I'm going to be using to winch this, because it's not going to take very much pressure. If this thing snaps when it's supposed to, my biggest concern is going to be holding on to the 24-foot pole saw so I don't break it as it falls. Now remember something, your tools are replaceable, you're not. So make sure that you practice safety. And I want to tell you something, there is a reason why they call trees widow makers. That's not funny, that's deadly serious. So let me put the throw ball up there and then we'll resume filming. Alright, I want to discuss this real quick. I think this is a 3-gallon bucket. That's my throw ball string. This is the same string, the same roll of string that I've been using since 2009, I think. I have used this for clothesline. I've used this to run 500-600 feet when I was doing fence lines. I've used this for everything, and it's called round bale string. It's about 30 bucks for that roll. It's I think it's just under 2,000 feet. Anyway, point being, I've been using it for a long time, and I use it for everything. Now, if we look, see if I can zoom in on this. I believe this was my third attempt to get the string up there. Alright, see my string? There's my string on the branch. And I'm well past my cut. So the next thing to do is to hook up the winch and put pressure on it. What I'll do is I will remove my throw ball, and once I remove the throw ball, I will tie onto the string, I'll pull the slack out of it, and I'll go over, I'll set my winch, my very light duty winch. There's always a joke about winches, isn't there? I'll set my light duty winch over there on a tree, and then I will pull pressure on it and I'll start to cut. Okay, I feed this through, grab onto it, pull a bunch of slack out, in this case about 24 inches. I may have much more than that, that's okay. I flip this into the lock position, pull some tension on it. I'm not going to be able to pull tension and film this, but just trust that what I'm doing is how it's done. Because see, this thing moves out of the camera. Well, maybe I can do this. Let's see. There we go. Now what I do is I just turn this thing. As you can see, I kind of twist this around a little bit, and I just overlay it on this. And it's now holding. I just continue to wind. Now the beauty of this is, other than the fact that got over there, the beauty of this is that all this throw ball string I can use on the next one, because there's another dead branch right beside that one, and the more string I have, the better it is. See, we're really pulling tension on it now. I don't want to cut off this tail, whatever's left. It's only a few inches, because I may need that on the next throw. And there's no reason to waste resources, even if you have them. Now, put that into place, it holds my tension. That box wrench is what I hook onto this piece with. I hook onto this piece, and then I put the tension I need and that I want. It's definitely moving it. Let me go find my wrench and I'll be right back. Alright, I got my wrench, and now what I'll be doing, the camera is upside down and backwards to me, so I'm hoping y'all are able to see this. So I will just pull tension on this little jewel. And I want it to wind evenly on this spool. So I'm going to back this, try to get it to go more to the center. Okay, it's still taking up, it's still crushing some of the branches, because it was in some small branches. I'm still twisting the string around the incoming string to help get the tail out of the way. Normally I would be holding this thing with one hand, but because I'm trying to film it, I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. If you're wondering, this is a number 17 wrench, and it fits pretty good, but it ain't great. They do make a wrench for this. I found one at a Tractor Supply, which surprised the daylights out of me because they tend not to carry a lot of stuff that's necessary. I've got a lot of fencing tools from Tractor Supply. When I saw the tool for actually doing this correctly, I bought the thing. Now if you're listening, alright, now we got the thing collapsed. It's now on the trunk. I wanted this tension on there. When I started to collapse those small branches, so in the off event it broke, there was less chance of it going where I didn't want it to go. Alright, sounds like we're about to the end of what we can do. We don't want this string to break. It's polypropylene, it's not terribly strong. I'm not worried about being cut in. There it goes, it is breaking. So I'm going to put the camera on this, and then I'm going to come back over here and I'll record this, and I'll record the tree falling. That is a wrap. Alright, this is the finish up of the film. I'm going to show you a tree, a little bitty short tree right here. See this? I removed this tree for the last branch I dropped, which we're going to discuss in just a moment. But let me show you how close this thing is to the propane tank. Propane tank is here, tree is here, distance of 4.5, 5 feet max. I had this big branch, this one right here, that I needed to drop, and so I put my rope or string onto it, as you can see, and I pulled it away from the propane tank. Meanwhile, I dropped this other tree, this one I'm discussing here, to ensure that it would fall down cleanly. As you can see, it's done. In just a moment I'll start cleanup with this, and I'll be using a chainsaw for that. I want to get into something. The reason for using a handsaw on these cuts is because I wanted to control and guarantee where the thing broke and where it went to. And we're going to come back to this cut in just a minute. Meanwhile, the branch that I originally started with, the one that I was telling you about that I didn't want to hit the Muse because they wouldn't be amused, this is it right here. Now this green is from that green tree that I cut so I could get that other one down without hitting the propane tank. But here's this, and here's Sabaka Shadow. The other dogs are coming out. Sabaka Kalani, Sabaka Sabra. I can't believe somebody tossed these dogs on the road to die. When I found them, they were really desperate. But here they are, loving little dogs. These guys go a lot of places with me, and I let them out when I'm not doing something dangerous, like right now. And you might think being inside the kennel is a dangerous place for them, but actually it's safe. As you can see, the tree came down well outside of the cage with the Muse. It fell clean, did great. The cleanup on this will take a little while. I'm going to get out the chainsaw. I'll be cutting this. I'll be taking all the debris and pushing it off in the forest somewhere so that it can turn back into compost. With that, Dysfunctional Vet signs off.